Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aha Moments radio show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari, and happy Tuesday. We have tons to talk about today on our true blue evergreen topic of manifesting, and the question today is, what can you manifest in the next 90 days? Today we're going to talk about some tips to help you to get what you want in a shorter period of time. And I think that we've kind of gotten used to the idea that manifesting can take a while, right? A lot of people, because they're not using all the tools, they're not really using the tools properly. And so then there feels like there's this huge lag time between when you set your intention and when you actually get what you want. So today I wanted, let's see, what is it? There's a saying, pull back the curtain. I think I heard a marketing guy say that the other day. Pull back the curtain, and I was like, yeah, so we could do that. Pull back the curtain on some of the reasons why your manifesting might be taking longer, and it really shouldn't take all that long. Most things shouldn't take all that long, because in the grand scheme of things, there's really no such thing as time. Everything, and this is first point number one, right out of the gate, 2 minutes into the show. Every time that you desire, first of all, there is no time. We linearize time so that we can sort of organize energy so we can all coexist together on the planet, and then planetarily and seasonally and all that. So we can demarcate and predict somewhat, and all kind of be on the same page. But if there was really such a thing as time, how would we have a leap year? We just have a leap year because everybody decides that today is February 29th. How do we have daylight savings time? How do we have time zones? It's because somebody decided, we're going to do away with daylight savings time. Okay, some governments do. Arizona doesn't even observe it, as does Hawaii and some other places, right? So really, time really doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is your alignment with the frequency of what you want, is your willingness to allow it and your openness to receive it, and the pretty much absence of resistance to it, and subtle resistances to whatever you want, and judgments around whatever you want. Those are the things that really bring it in, and those are the things that make it show up sooner or later. It's really a matter of a reflection of you and what you're putting in the mirror, and long you stay consistent in the mirror is how quickly it comes back. It's really actually quite simple. It may not be easy because we are conditioned in so many ways in our mental mind, but it is simple. So that's number one, is that there is no such thing as time. Number two, which is a very interesting thing, when you work with me on, I know I have a lot of students who are working with me on parallel realities, multidimensional manifesting, and they're in my advanced classes and coaching programs and whatnot. And the one thing they all know is that everything that you could ever want already exists. Everything. Anything you think of, it's not that it's not there. There's a parallel where you have that guy, where you have that house, where you have that money, where you have that career, where you have that perfect health, where you have that perfect figure. There's already a parallel where you already exist as that, with that, by that, okay? It's an energetic form, though. It's in the form of frequency. And when you choose it and you stay consistent with that choice, and you stay emotionally uplifted around that choice without going backwards. It's not you. Yeah, I don't understand why it doesn't work for me. All that, because that's resistance that literally repels it. When you do that, you're just basically saying, okay, it's like going to, Amazon and saying, okay, I'm ordering this, and it's already in stock. It's already there. Nothing has to be created new. What has to happen is it has to be revealed to you in physical 3D world. And it just is revealing to you, it's essentially slowing down its frequency so that you can perceive it in your 3D world and step into that aspect of you. So that takes a lot off because it already exists. You wouldn't even want it if it didn't. What you have to do is align with it. And I'm sure you hear that because everybody's on YouTube, listening to all the different gurus on all of this stuff, right? But it's really something that the distinction really needs to be clear. And what happens is people think they have to create something. People think there's a time lag. They believe in time and linearity, and they try to apply 3D principles to nonlinear world, to frequency. 3D principles and frequency are like oil and water. So you have to know how to bridge the two and then integrate the two, right? But you have to know that there's a difference between the two as well. So if you don't know those differences, if you don't realize that time doesn't exist and that everything you want is already created, you have a tendency to go at manifesting as tricks. It's like, oh, what can I do? Can I light a candle? Will that bring me money? Oh, what do I do, Mari? What do I do? And it's not a magic trick. It's really not. It's not a formula that you just put together and then wait for something to drop out of the sky. Manifesting is a form of communication. It's a form of communication. It's a form of communication that goes across dimensions. So you're going from the physical, slower, vibrational world into the world of frequency. You're ordering up from the frequency vending machine, the thing, version of you, whatever it is that you desire, and then you're aligning with it long enough for it to transfer from the vending machine down into the bottom and out to you. You can pull it out of the vending machine. That's what happens. The problem is time constructs and 3D physicality constructs on this. We start to compare to other people. We start to compete with other people. We start to look at other people's circumstances and assume that's going to happen to us. We start to, and you have to really be careful with that because you're not the same frequency as anyone next to you. So just because so-and-so manifested her thing in, 2 seconds doesn't mean you are. Not because it's not available to you in 2 seconds, but because you may not be as in alignment and frequency aligned with that thing that you desire as that other person is. You don't know what's precluding their desire. So what do I mean by that? It's interesting. When having your own business is an interesting thing. I know I have a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to the show. And when you have to come up with resources out of thin air, which happens a lot in entrepreneurship, it's amazing how and this could be even not entrepreneurship, when you desire something and you desire it so much that it gets bigger than your fear of rejection or abandonment or a lack situation, it shows up. You could say, I was working with some salespeople and they wanted to make a sale. And when it was just about making the sale, they had all kinds of constructs around it. Oh, I can't make a phone call. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. Oh, I could never charge that rate. I could never do this. I could never do that. And then they needed something. They needed, I know this one person found the perfect car for her. And she said, oh, my God. And it was on sale. It was all those serendipitous things, It was on sale. She had to do it, and they gave her a deal. They gave her, 48 hours to, confirm, blah, 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 all these different things. But it was one of those, like, it was the right color, it was the thing she had dreamt about, it was on the vision board, the whole thing. But she had to make some sales in order for that to happen. And she was having a hard time leading up to that because she was caught up in the process of sales and all of the linear constructs and all of her doubts and whatever. And then when she had that bigger thing that she desired, it transcended all of her fear. And it was just like, no, I'm not letting this go. This is happening. And she overrode her resistance, and boom, the sales came in. And within a weird 48 hours, she had the money to put the down payment on the car. Now, this happens, right? I'm sure you've all been through something similar to that. When that thing that you need or desire gets bigger than the process of getting it, all of a sudden it shows up, right? And the same thing happened. It's basically when you release control, when you let it go. So it comes to manifesting. If you are going at it in a panic, you are in a state of resistance because your panic, not only is it an energetic repellent, but your panic literally screams, I lack this thing. I lack this thing. It's not here yet. The boyfriend isn't here yet. The husband isn't here yet. The money isn't here yet. The house isn't here yet. I don't have this thing. I need this thing. I need this thing. I need this thing. I never have the money. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You find yourself saying that all day. Trust me when I tell you, you are literally taking a shovel and throwing mud at what you want. You're burying it. And you are actually reflecting, you're holding up to your mirror and to your cosmic Amazon, show me more lack, show me more of me not having this thing. So the time factor is of your own making. You literally push it away. Now, if you say, oh my goodness, and you self-correct yourself and say, okay, I need to bring this in anyway. I need to, okay, I'm going to get it together. Let me get it together. Okay. I'm going to light my candle. I'm going to do my thing. And you try to bring it together. Then you have a few hours of, okay, I'm in the zone. I feel it. You go for a walk. You do all the things. So then you start getting some quick synchronicities about, oh, wow, you get a little sign. You see somebody references it. You get a symbol or something like that. And then you say, oh, that's weird. Oh, I got a sign about that. Oh, that's weird. As soon as you say that's weird, guess what? You just took the raid can to your desire again. People do that all the time. I even see my advanced students do it. They're like, it was really kind of heady and weird that that happened. It's like, don't say that. Just say, how cool is that? Look at it's configuring. Look, it's configuring. That's amazing. That's miraculous. Wow, there's evidence that it's configuring. That's going to keep it. That's going to keep the puzzle coming together. It's going to keep the it's like a Polaroid picture. It's going to keep it developing. As soon as you say, "Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's so freaky. Oh my God, that's like I think that might be a sign. That's so freaky." You just send it away. The frequency is just like an EKG machine. It is extremely sensitive. So the slightest blip in your own thought pushes it right out onto to the energetic field. And so when you have that too, right? When you have to recognize that the field that you're creating with is very sensitive. If you happen to do this work on any kind of regular basis, you've amped up your field to be even more sensitive. I tell this to my clients all the time, my advanced girls. I say, look, you guys come to these classes, are doing all this, breath work and meditations and all these different things and all these, high octane alchemy, things and I mean, working with Merlin and all these different things we're doing. You can't go backwards and start doubting and BSing around with your practices. You've created a huge, intense electromagnetic field around yourself that's very reactive. And when you start working with these law of attraction, you start walking into manifesting and doing all that stuff that you're, if you're listening to this call that you're interested in doing, and I'm sure you're doing some of it anyway, The minute you start doing it, you're responsible for it. I see a lot of people, they treat it like the 3D world. Oh, I'll dabble in this. Oh, I'll listen to a show so often. Oh, I'll give that a try on a Monday when it's on my mind. Then I'll go back to my old ways on Tuesday. Oh, well, maybe I'll try it on Thursday. Oh, it never happens for me. All of that dabbling thing, better off not doing any of it. Because when you go on Monday and you're all intense, and then you create a bigger, stronger, more reactive field starts listening to you, and then next day you're all negative. Oh, I hate this girl at work, and you become a victim. She's doing this to me, and she doesn't do that. He doesn't do this, and I do all the work. Well, guess what? You're throwing all of that into that big intensive field you made on Monday when you were trying to manifest a new car. And then all of a sudden you get all this volatility at work. You say, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Is it Mercury in retrograde? Why are these things going wrong? I don't believe it. I just can't believe that this would happen to me. How could this happen to me? Well, I was trying to manifest. See, this doesn't work. This is crap. There's responsibility when you're working with energy, just like there's responsibility when you're working with physical stuff. If you were trying to lose weight, and you're dibble-dabbling with the diet, and 1 minute you're kind of doing it, and the next minute you're not, and the next minute you are, and the next minute you're not, and your body's going, and your blood sugar's going, and then you get on the scale and you don't lose weight, right? So consistency is important, and understanding that the 3D world is very different from the frequency world in the sense that it has its own set of rules. The frequency world has its own set of rules. One is that it's a pure reflection of your most dominant thought. And your most dominant thought often is not your loudest thought. The thought in your head might be, I now, you do these, affirmations. I now have this thing. I now have this thing. But underneath, your dominant thought is, no, I don't. No, I don't. Not yet, anyway. Got it over there, but I didn't get it. And so the dominant thought is, I lack this thing. So that's what you're sending out into the field. All right, so the first thing that you want to do with all of this is to recognize that you have your world of physicality, which has certain governing things in it, and then you have your world of frequency. And you're basically going to operate from various vantage points. If you're operating from the 3D world vantage points, you're going to kind of follow those rules. But if you're trying to work with frequency, you're going to follow the rules of frequency. And so I'm not going to get too in-depth, but the easiest way to look at this is whatever you create, whatever you request or focus on. And a lot of times we don't even know we're requesting chaos, is what's going to manifest in frequency. Frequency is neutral. It's like tofu. It's completely flavored by you, right? So very, very important that for most of your day, if you're thinking about working with frequency and you're inviting frequency to participate in your world in a conscious way, because it's always working 24/7. Never turns off, even if you're not focusing on it. You're always using it, whether you know it or not. And so it's good to use it with deliberate intent. Now, one of the things in 3D world that we have learned through our formal religion processes is that you go to church on Sunday. And you repent, and you beg God for prayers and answered prayer. You bow your head, and you genuflect, and you do all that stuff. And then you leave. And maybe you go to the church basement, and you have some muffins, and you chit-chat, and then it starts. The gossip, the backbiting, who's with the pastor's daughter, all that kind of stuff. And then off you go, back to life. And back to reality, as they say, right? So the good feeling of being in church lasts for about an hour and a half, and then off you go back into the politics, the drama, the bills, your kid isn't listening to you, all that stuff. So it's kind of like you have an hour a week where you focus in, but you're hoping that God will just ride around anyway, see you suffering and have mercy on you, and then pull you up out of whatever doldrums you're in. That's formal religion. And then, some people, like, if they're really religious, go to church on Wednesdays and Friday, they start going to church a lot. However, most people that go on Sundays, maybe even once a month, and they hope that it will, something will cast some sort of favor over them along their way. And then they go back to their 3D world and try to control everything, try to make things happen. When you're working, that piece, that Sunday go to meeting approach, one time a week, not even really present, kind of tuning out the pastor or minister unless he's saying something that's of particular interest. A lot of times they don't even understand what they're saying because it's so much jargon. I know when being Catholic, growing up Catholic, who knew what they were saying with those Gospels and a lot of that stuff. A lot of it is steeped in fear and whatever, so we have a tendency to tune that out. And then if you approach your frequency-based education like that, and I see people in my classes do it, they say, oh, let me take a class with Mari. And they come in for 6 weeks, and they don't participate. They just, they take their notes and they listen, and they think that listening is actually doing, and it's not. That's just collecting information. That's not working the frequency, right? And they take a Sunday go to meet and approach. Oh, life has really been going crappy. I think I need to learn how to manifest. I think I need my intuition to be better. Let me take this little thing and see if I can make it better. Okay, now, but in between the classes, they're not doing anything. After the class is over, they're not doing anything. They're not, and so it's like Sunday go to meet and approach. It's a 3D world approach. Then there's the other ones who say, okay, I know that my frequency is like a muscle. My frequency world is like my physical world in that I have to do energetic hygiene. I have to consistently approach my frequency the way I consistently approach and manage my physical world. Energetic hygiene is a big part of that. What is that? Energetic hygiene is doing your clearing, making sure that just like you take a shower every day, you wash your hair every day, you take care of clearing your energy each day, whether it's cutting your cords from other people's emotional attachments, or, taking a hot salt bath to give your aura a cleanse and to sort of let go of extra, heavy energy that's bottled up, clearing your house, clearing your car, all that kind of stuff. Very important when you're working with frequency to have clear channels. Why? Because, I'm going to get to that. Actually, let me just not get to that yet. I will tell you in a second. In addition to your energetic hygiene, then you need to have consistent habits, like in your physical world, like if you want to get fit, look trim, lean, you want to go to the gym, and you want to also manage your food intake to some extent, maybe, for most of the week you're eating kind of light vegetarian fish, things like that, and then on Saturdays you might splurge. That's when you have the sliced pizza or whatever, but you're managing it. You're not free for all the time. Overindulging all the time. Well, the same thing with frequency. It needs care and attention. Essentially, it needs to be cleared. It needs to be energized. It needs to be managed on a regular basis throughout your day, just like your day life, just like your physical life. And in fact, frequency is so much more potent and powerful than physicality that it should actually be your first priority. And somebody writes to me today saying, oh, I haven't been doing my meditation because, I'm working and that's paying the bills. Like the meditation should be secondary to that. And the meditation would manage the frequency so that all the contracting work that she's doing would increase exponentially, and so she's choosing 3D world over her frequency world and giving more credence to 3D, but then not understanding why things are going wonky. And it's just purely because she's making a choice to focus on 3D first. It's not that it's not important, it's just out of order, right? So most people don't realize, like, how to manage frequency first. So they focus a lot on their circumstances, and then they react to the circumstances and then try to apply little snippets of things that they see on Instagram to their lives. Don't bother. Don't bother. It's not going to work. A little quote on Instagram, like a moment of a little blip of, oh, wow, that's so, like, you know, that feels good. That's not gonna be life altering. It's just like saying, you know, oh, I vacuumed the lower left hand corner of my living room. Now the whole house is going to be clean. No. No. So manifesting, when, you know, and most people come into the frequency work because they want something, right? Just like they go to church because they need a prayer answer. So they come into the frequency world and they say, okay, this manifesting thing, if I just think about it over and over again, and I light the skin and I do this thing, then somehow money will just drop out of the sky in my life. And they don't realize. I mean, it's nice to get you in the door, right, and to start paying attention, which is great. But it is a whole thing, right? It's a whole process. So key thought processes, key things you want to do is, one is you want to make sure that what you're desiring is actually right for you. Because a lot of times we're desiring something that somebody else wants for us. And that, if you're trying to say, you know, I want to be a doctor because your dad always wanted you to be a doctor. I want to get to medical school. My dad will be so proud. But you really want to be an artist. And your heart space center, which is very, very powerful. We're not going to get into that in the show, but it is very powerful. Your heart is saying, I really want to be an artist. The dominant thing is going to show up on your field, and that's what's going to manifest. So you're going to get, we're going to try to pass the MCAT, and it's not going to go so well. You're going to try to get to this med school, that's med school, and as hard as you try in your head, it doesn't work because your true frequency is out of alignment, right? So you want to make sure that whatever it is you desire is not for your husband, it's not for your mother, okay? It's not for your kids, it's for you. If you want good things for your children or good things, that's fine. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that you want to make sure that you, whatever you're designing is really from your own core. And this is where it's really important to get in tune with your own intuition, to get in tune with those voices, the voice in your head, your higher self. That is the biggest key to all of manifesting, all of it, is being able to be fluent in the language of your intuition and in their ability to channel information from your own higher self. This is the thing I've seen. I've worked with thousands of people at this point. Just thousands of private session hours, whether it's readings or coaching, advanced students, all different levels. I have hyper advanced students now that I've been working with for 3 years, 1, 2, 3 years. I've seen it across the board. And the thing that makes the difference between the ones that really master high-frequency living and the ones that don't is their ability to be fluent in their own intuition and their ability to be able to channel their own higher self, their own guides. Now, and we call that free-form channeling. It's not Abraham kind of channeling where you have a channeling contract and you're talking to a whole collective and you're standing in front of a group of people and you're, expounding on all these laws of the universe. I'm talking about being able to receive downloads very consciously from your own higher self, from your angels, from your guides, and put what they say into practice, actually being able to have a two-way contextual conversation. I'm not talking about seeing a fancy billboard that has a sign on it that is a part of a synchronicity package for the day. I'm not talking about, some, little coinky-ninks around the day. I'm talking about 3D contextual conversations with your higher self where you are able to literally write messages from your higher self, receive them, okay, and deliberately have a conversation with your higher self. And you have your own council of guides. So you have a council of angels. There's all kinds of different beings that you can put on a council of guides. And then there's also councils of guides, guardian angels and various guides that actually are there for you right now. And depending on your level of frequency gives you that council of guides. So when you're in a lower level of frequency, like you're not even doing this work much, you're kind of more, you have some angels and some guardian angels and some ascended masters and ancestors, a lot of ancestors around you. As you move along in this work and you start to commit to this work and you start to work multidimensionally and you start to move through frequencies and start operating on higher frequencies, you get higher levels of guides. That's how it works. And so the better you can channel and the better you are intuitively, the more consistent and fluent you are intuitively, and your ability to freeform channel, the higher your ability to go, and the quicker you go dimensionally, because you have the communication structure. You see, because we have our 3D world, which is our mental mind, kind of governs the communication from our 3D world, from our frequency world, from the world of our higher self, from our energy. Your higher self, the part of you that decided not to be in the body but navigates around the body, that helps the version of you, the portion of you that's in the body, get through its daily life, that being, that aspect of you has a voice. And it is, you are born with the ability to communicate with it. This is not a magic trick. This is not going into a trance and having a different voice come out of your mouth and stepping out of the zone and letting Ramsa talk or whoever. That's not what this is. The voice of your higher self is on 24/7. You're interacting with it all day long. It is the one that sends you all of the new ideas that you ever get. Any new idea that you have, any aha moment or anything deeper than an aha moment, like when you get those little downloads of information. You get, you're sitting there, you're worried about your son, and you're all locked up about it. It's like, and you feel like analysis paralysis, and it's like, I can't figure out what to do. I can't figure out what to do with him. And then you get in the shower, and you're just washing yourself. You're washing your hair, and the water's, coming down your face or whatever. And you're breathing deeply because it's warm, and you're just taking a break. And there's some space, right? You have space in your brain because you're, now you're doing a methodical activity. You're washing your hair and whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, talk to his guidance counselor about this, and then get him into that. And then, Judy said she has her kid over here, and if you connect that, then, that would probably, and then all of a sudden it's like a down, boom, 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 boom. And you're like, you get out of the shower, it's like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. Okay, let me go do this. And you don't even think too much about it, like overanalyzing it. You just kind of go with it because it's a knowing, right? You start to feel like I knew within every cell of my body. Well, guess what? Your higher self just gave you a channeling. It just gave you a download. And where they download it, your higher self downloads into every cell of your body. Every cell of your body is a receptive center. It's also a projective center. You can send energy out with every cell of your body, and you can receive energy. You can send communication out with every cell of your body. When you walk into a room and you're feeling fine, and a guy walks in and he's pissed off, and he doesn't say a word, but the whole room changes, he's projecting fury with every cell of his body. Are receiving with every cell of your body. That's how you sense. You go into a grocery store, something feels off. Guess what? You leave. In our day of shootings now and all these things going on, if you're feeling in every cell of your body that something's wonky, move along. Move along. Might be fine. Just move along. It's not the day to linger. Every cell of your body is always projecting and receiving. And your higher self is always sending and receiving. When you set an intention, you can send it with your mental mind. Your mental mind is always looking to collect things for its its memory banks, for its reference points. Your mental mind has its own little square box of supplies to keep you in check and alive and safe and all those things while you're here operating, while there's an aspect of you operating within a human body. And within that human body, the mental mind is in charge of 3D living. Guess what? The mental mind is not against high-frequency living. The mental mind just isn't familiar with it. So, because it's not familiar with something, it's skeptical. It starts to say, is this safe? Does this make sense? Does this feel right to me? Never heard it before, then, okay, show me somebody who has. Show me somebody who's had success with that. Sure, that's interesting. And if you do high-frequency work enough, and you invest in it, and you invest in yourself, and you invest in the learning, your intuitive abilities and your channeling abilities, and you master this, and you put high-frequency living as your top priority, knowing that it's the most efficient way to live. Every 17 seconds of frequency-focused thought is equivalent to 3 hours of physical work. So it's way more efficient to put it first. I'm not saying eliminate physical living and all that. I'm saying overlay your frequency first so that you can streamline what you're doing physically so that it has more success in a shorter period of time. And the byproduct of that is your mental mind starts to see it and what you will see when you get advanced enough and you've been consistent enough, what you will see, and this is really fascinating. I've watched it in certain clients, and I certainly know for myself it's happened. My mental mind knows now. It's so familiar with frequency-oriented living that it consults frequency first. My mental mind does not go immediately to what are the statistics? What's that testimonial? Who said that this is okay? Who can prove to me that this is okay? I got to Google that before I can trust it. Nope. My mental mind immediately goes to my intuitive senses and says, what do you think? What do you feel? My intuitive senses say, yep, go after that thing, get it. My mental mind's like, okay, we're making it happen. I'm going to get out of your way. Show me what steps you want to take. And my intuitive channeling frequency senses are far and away higher priority than my physical mental analysis. I'm not saying that I don't analyze things. I'm a marketeer. I've got a business. I've got all kinds of things going on, family things, all kinds of things. So I do lean into those physical abilities as well, but they're always secondary to frequency. A few weeks ago, my mom was in the hospital. I knew that she was dehydrated, and I told her 4 weeks before she was in the hospital, Ma, you need an IV. You're dehydrated. She kept going, got weaker. Finally, my sister had to literally carry her out of the house, bring her to the emergency room and everything. Doctors looked at her, and they started working on her heart and all these other things, and I kept saying, she's dehydrated. She said, she's got congenital heart failure, blah, blah, blah. Water on the heart, blah, 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 blah. Well, water collects when you're dehydrated around the organs. Hello. She gets out of the hospital after a full week. They gave her water pills because they wanted her to be off to get the water out of the heart. Then she finally gets a new set of doctors and gets a really good physical, and she calls me like 3 days and goes, they told me I'm dehydrated. Okay. All right. Can we address this now? However, when I hear that all my friends and all my family call me, when they get sick or somebody gets sick, they all call me and they're like, I'm not feeling well, and they don't want to say, well, what do you think? But if I say, you're fine, they'll, okay, I'm fine, okay, good. Because they know that I consult frequency first, right? I don't go into this whole long period. Did you Google it? What did you see on WebMD? I have a knowing. Now, obviously, I'm at like the Olympic level of this because I do it all day long and I do it as a profession. But everybody is born with these abilities. Born. Okay? Channels are born, not made. What you need is a reminder of how it's done and what it looks like and what it feels. And this ability can make or break you're manifesting. If you want anything to happen within the next 90 days, you need to engage these senses, because what makes something happen in a day versus happen in 120 days or a year or 2 years is your ability to interpret the signs, symbols, synchronicities, and quite frankly, contextual downloads of your higher self, giving you the action steps you need to take on the physical side of the fence that they can't take for you so that you can get to your result. Because it's not I dream a genie. When you're integrating frequency and physicality, it's not I dream a genie. Physicality and frequency, there's an unfolding, a revelation, a transfer from the frequency state of being to the physical 3D state of being. There is a slowing of frequency. The frequency is identified on the frequency side of things, out in the ethers, if you will, by you. I want a new Range Rover. Okay. You're already driving the Range Rover in frequency. I want to be the version of me that owns that new Range Rover. Okay. I now am the version of me that owns that Range Rover. Great. I can't see it yet. Doesn't mean you don't have it. Doesn't mean you're not in that frequency. But now the communication begins. You've identified, okay, let's just say Robin in the Range Rover, the version, let's say we have Robin, right? And Robin wants a Range Rover. And now she's, working with Mari and manifesting, and she's now setting an intention. I'm now Robin with the Range Rover, and now have a Range Rover. Okay? So she's made the intention. She sent that out into the field. So that's the electrical part, of the electromagnetic field. So she sent that out into frequency. So she's put in her order. I'm now Robin with the Range Rover. So she's put herself in the parallels, Robin with the Range Rover. Now she feels herself in that, taking on the emotional signature of owning that Range Rover. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I feel so good. I feel safe, blah, blah, blah. I feel luxurious. I feel affluent or whatever. Okay? She feels it. She's joyful. She's happy. She feels love. She feels gratitude, etc. And so now she set that forth. So guess what? You know what that does? That literally puts the order in, and frequency starts to slow. So they say, okay, here's the catalog of her parallels. Okay, now she's chosen this parallel. Okay, let's now change. Let's do the combination lock and just slow the frequency down so she can perceive this aspect of her in the physical world. And as that frequency slows and she speeds up because she stays in alignment, she doesn't go all the way down to the worst, the slowest aspect of 3D living. She rises up to the highest frequency of 3D living so she can align fastest to that Range Rover. Every day I'm going to go into my meditation. I'm going to feel myself in this thing, this Range Rover. I'm going to be in alignment. I'm going to live the parallel on a daily basis. I'm going to live this thing. And I'm going to, and so what she's doing is she's keeping her, in the 3D world, she's pushing her frequency up as the high frequency world, as the field slows that parallel down so she can perceive it. She's also speeding herself up so she can meet it quicker, right? So that's what we call frequency alignment. And the two things meet. Now, let's say she goes and she decides to be a muggle about all of this, and she's dibble-dabbling. 1 minute she's like, oh, I just lit the candle, and I felt it. And then, after she finishes that, okay, now I have to get back to real life. And I'm freaking out, and I don't have this, and I don't have that, and this didn't happen, and that didn't happen. This person did me wrong. Guess what she does? She, for a minute, for let's say 20 minutes or even 10 minutes, raised her frequency up to, so that she could actually peer out of the high-level window to see the new Range Rover coming into view and experience it, feel it. But she's only done it for 10 minutes, and now she's going to spend the next 23 hours bitching and moaning about all the other drama going on in her life. What does she do? She goes down to the lowest frequency of 3D living. Not only does that repel what she wants, right? Because she's now changing her vision for herself to lack. So she starts to even change the recipe of what she wants. But what she's doing is she's pushing away. She's putting she's lowering herself to a much slower frequency, and the new parallel of thing that she wants can't get down that low. And then she looks up from, so it's like she wanted to get to the penthouse, and that's where that new thing is. But and she was up there. She was up at like floor 8 of 10 when she was in the meditation. Then she gets out of the elevator, or she gets down. She gets in the elevator, she presses the down button after her meditation, and she goes down to the basement, to the parking garage. And then looks up at the penthouse. Why am I not seeing the views from the penthouse? Oh, those angels don't exist. Oh, Mari's a jerk. She told me the wrong thing. Oh, this doesn't work for me. Oh, this manifesting stuff is for the birds. I've got to focus on my mental abilities. I better follow my head and not my heart. All that other crap. But the only repellent is her own choice out of the elevator. It's to go to lower floors. Now, the alternative way to do that, the alchemist way to do that, is to the frequency first way to do that, the frequency mature way to do this, the frequency efficient way to do this is that you get to the penthouse, you get off, and you experience the Range Rover and whatever else in there, and then when you finish out of the meditation, you get back on the elevator to your 3D world, and you just go down the hall, and you stay in a state of joy, you stay in a state of gratitude, you do things that make you happy, you do things, you approach 3D things that aren't so pleasant. By reality, this is just some circumstances that are reflecting some old things. I'm just going to get through this, do what I have to do, stay in the moment, get it done. And I'm going to take another few minutes in the next hour, and I'm going to focus on what it felt like to be in that penthouse. Or I'll go visit the penthouse again. And you operate maybe on floor 8 as you're, building up your frequency muscles. Guess what? If you stay on floor 8 and you stay consistent, that Range Rover will drop to floor 8, and you will walk off on floor 8 and have that Range Rover. Okay, so it's really a matter of how much you keep yourself in tune with what you desire. And while you are in the midst of all of this, your higher self is talking to you all along the way. In fact, the entire universe is having a conversation. Every animal, bird, tree has an energetic meaning. There are actually reference books that explain the different meanings of different things. So the other day I was, I'm like kind of changing my business model and whatnot, and I saw a bald eagle flying, and I was like, whoa, that is just odd. I'm like, is that an eagle? And then I saw 3 on Facebook, blah, 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 right? So then you go to the Animal Speaks book and look up eagle, right? So that's the kind of thing, conversation coming your way. You just need to learn how to interpret your environment. That's part of freeform channeling. Because, yes, you can see signs and symbols like that and then look them up in books. But when you know how to freeform channel, you actually can consult with your higher self, and in your journal, you can get 10 pages written about what to do next. Or your higher self will direct you and say, go to your bookcase, go to the 3rd shelf, pick the 5th book, open to page 42, and boom, there's your answer. Amazing how that works. Amazing. So I am going to be hosting a brand new, I just finished a whole series called Freeform Channeling, but it was a smaller version. It was a test version of the course. And in the fall, starting in September, I might do one this summer, but I'm toying with that. I have to figure this out. I will be offering full frequency for freeform channeling mastermind, where it'll be 8 weeks, and you will have the tools to be completely fluent in your channeling abilities. By doing the exercises, you will actually write channeled messages from your higher self. You will be able to speak it into your recorder. You will learn all the tools to get this done. It does not take a long time to become fluent in this with care and attention and the right processes, because you already are. It's really about starting to learn the mechanics of it so you know, oh, that's what that is, instead of ignoring it or just not even being able to perceive it because you've never been exposed to it before. And so this is going to be a big new direction. As I was thinking about my new directions as far as aha moments, I decided that there's two things that are really important. Number one, mastering personal alchemy and manifesting is absolutely, hands down, extraordinarily important in, frequency and all that. However, I noticed when I was, because I've been very focused on teaching that in my advanced classes and whatnot, but I noticed that the results are greatly diminished when people are not fluent in their ability to channel and their intuition, because they're not following the signs and they let their mental mind be the voice. If you don't develop this skill, your mental mind is the dictating voice, which is the wrong voice to be listening to when you're working on manifesting. You need to be listening to the voice of your higher self, period. And then your mental mind takes direction from that. Your higher self will say, it's probably time for you to go to this type of gym if you want those kind of results in this type of time frame. And your mental mind says, you know what, I think maybe I should go to this kind of gym. Yeah, that makes sense. That feels good. Okay, and then they go. So it's then the mental mind does the research. Okay, where is the gym located? What's the GPS? Blah, 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 right? So you're working in tandem. When you don't know how to do this freeform channeling thing, you are letting your mental mind, dentist who does root canals, handle your nose job, right? It's like, no, I know it's all on my face, but no, you're just not the guy. You're not that guy. You stay over here on my tooth, and I'll get the other guy to work on the bridge of my nose, right? So it's really super important, and we are all schooled from birth on our mental mind. And then if we're lucky enough, we learn how to dabble a little bit intuition and all that kind of thing, because, it's fun. It's a parlor trick. We've gone to a psychic. We might have an extra sixth sense. We feel a little special in that way, but we're not leaning on it the way that it's meant to be leaned on. It's meant to be primary, not secondary. And this, as we go forward in this new energy on this planet, is what's required. This is why we have volcanoes going off and hurricanes and all these things. They're clearing out the earth of all the old stuff. And the new thing that's opening up for leaders in particular, but for everybody at large, is operating from the voice of your higher self, from your intuition, from your frequency, being able to sense your environment, being able to access the greater parts of you so that your physical world is much more efficient, much happier, filled with the things you really desire, and where time doesn't matter. Because when you're listening to your higher self, believe me, it wants you to have the most efficient, quickest results possible, because having a miserable you doesn't help the greater good. Just doesn't. It just doesn't. And having you confused about your life purpose, and you confused about, your visionary status, and you confused about how you're going to lead your clients, you're a healer, what are you doing for these people? Having you confused really doesn't help anybody. It slows everybody down. And so this is a very, very big directive that I've received, and you're going to be seeing stuff out about freeform channeling. So that's a big course coming up. If you'd like to participate in this, I'm doing this by application only. It's a big course, okay? And you can send me an email if you'd like to be considered for the course coming up. It's an 8-week course. If you'd like to be considered for it, just send me an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com. Support@ahamomentsinc.com. Okay. The other thing that I'm doing over the summer, and this is just a 12-week. This is a 12-week. It's a very special 12-week program, and I'm only doing it once. I'm only doing it once this summer. As I'm building out our new programs for the fall, I'm doing this custom 12-week mastermind. And I have a couple of people, and it's very small because it's all custom work. So a spiritual book, and I'm working with her on that. I have another gal who's working on manifesting our soulmate, and we have 12 weeks together. It includes private sessions, it includes VIP coaching, strategy time, it includes me channeling guided meditations to support that specific project. I have not done this level of customization ever before, and I probably won't do it again. I just got the directive to do it for a few people this summer. So I'm taking about 2 more people in this, and again, it's a big program, but it's intensive, and it's really based on major transformation. So if you're just thinking about dabbling, this is not the one for you. But if there's something you really, really want to get after, and you want some, really focused, intensive work to get a major outcome, this is probably something you want to consider. And so if you're interested in that, one of those last 2 spots, you can also send me an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com, and just in the subject line say that you're interested in the custom mastermind, okay? So those are the 2 big things, the freeform channeling course and the customized mastermind. Those are the 2 big things going on right now. So very, very powerful work. Again, not for the faint at heart by any means. It's for the people who really feel like they're, I call it psychically sensitive leaders of leaders. If you really feel like there's something big that you're feeling called to do, and you want to get out of your own way, and you want that efficiency, and you want that focus, those are the 2 programs, okay? All right, so as far as your manifesting goes, okay, focus. Remember that you don't have to worry about timing. Most of what you want could easily be achieved in 90 days if you keep yourself in alignment with what you want and you don't let your mental mind take over and start dictating your life only from your circumstances. Okay? Visiting with your new desire. I tell my clients at least 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, even 4 times before you go to sleep. Visiting, meaning taking yourself up to the pet home, visiting with that desire, visiting not only with the details of what it looks like, but really the outcome of how it feels. Making sure it's your own desire, not somebody else's. Making sure that you're experiencing it as if you've already had it, not from the middle, not sitting there trying to ratchet in your head how you're going to make it happen, how it's going to happen, and this happened, and that happened, and then this happened, there it was. Now, I'm not talking about outlining the manifestation. That's not manifesting. That's goal setting. That's planning, okay? But really stepping into the emotional frequency of that is going to collapse time, because time does not exist in frequency. What exists, what they're waiting for, is your alignment. I actually heard Abraham say the other day, and it was on those old recordings I had heard, said, when you go to sit down and manifest something, you're actually about 99% there already. Finally identified it, you're like 99% in alignment. And everybody's waiting for that 1%. So most of the work is already done, but the 1% is getting out of the way of your mental mind and following the directives, not just the breadcrumbs, but the directives from your higher self to take the, divinely guided action steps, inspired action, whatever you want to call it, so that, the physical things that do need to get in place are taken care of. All right? So I'm going to end today. I see that we're out of time. But I hope this has been helpful. Again, if you'd like to learn about either of those 2 programs, I very much am excited. I'm very excited about them. And you can send me an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com, and we'll get on a quick phone call, and we'll talk about it, and I'll give you all the details. All right? So we will end with my motto, which is, you truly can have exactly what you want. You absolutely deserve it too. And in this new energy, anything is possible. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.